Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is August 22nd, 2021. Howard, shades of blue.
Shades of blue, baby blue. Is this color work?
Yeah, I think it's perfect for you. Yeah.
It's a surf shirt. I'm watching 100 Foot. I'm very addicted to the show. Have you watched it?
Not yet.
And what about White Lotus? Have you watched that?
No, sorry. I'm too busy, Howard. I don't have time.
You don't have kids. I don't understand. You should have nothing but time.
Yeah. I'm busy with other things.
Okay. I'm not even gonna probe.
Yeah.
So I'm going for Chinese food right after, and you were just there. 2 ships
I was just there. I had broccoli and beef and some dumplings. It was good.
Oh, they're dumpling. Was it busy? I'm going over there now.
It wasn't that busy, but it's a good place actually.
It's my favorite place.
Yeah.
If you wanted to kill me, there's about 3 places you could find me: Hane, Dumpling Inn, and tacos in Little Italy.
Yeah.
It's pretty much a routine that I have. I wouldn't get very
the
far.
Howard diet. It's working for you.
The problem is I go riding and I get so hungry, and I should just not work out and not eat. It would be a much simpler life. All right, what do we got? I mean, this market is just beautiful.
Incredible. I mean, just another dip that was bought. I mean, by dip, I mean like there was like a 2%, 3% pullback.
I mean, there's been some serious rotation in some of the.
Oh yeah, under the surface, some stocks have had pretty significant corrections, not really pullbacks. So last week, the 2 big worries right now in the markets are, number one, still COVID, rising number of cases.
Yep.
So
my neighbors here, really nice people. I think they were vaccinated too. Like he was a doctor. They're both stuck in their house right next door. They're really great people, dentists, and they're in their 60s. I feel really bad.
They have it.
Yeah, and I think they've been really careful. I mean, and then my other neighbors here with the kids can't get the vaccine because their kids are under 12, so they're just stressed out.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody's been crazy in my neighborhood, and yet it's still
interesting.
Kind of wreaking some havoc.
I mean, your 2 neighbors have one thing in common, you. So we don't know.
Now, I wouldn't mess with my neighbors. I love my two on either side of my house are fantastic people.
Yes,
I feel bad.
I'm sure.
Nice to have good neighbors. You know what?
Exactly. It's very important.
It's a blessing. So as we say, it's lots of nachas. What do they say in Bulgarian? In Yiddish, it's lots of nachas. What do they say in Bulgaria? Throw me a potato.
Well, a good neighbor is basically like family. It's really important.
Yep. All right.
So all the reopening stocks, they've been having issues. Airlines and oil.
But oil had a great run. I mean, prices at the pump are crazy, so I just think it overshot. So where we got,
and hotels. So this is one of the worries: COVID, reopening stocks. The other one, there's been talking about Fed tapering later in the year. The latest minutes from the Fed meeting in July were released, and there were discussions there about tapering later this year, which should not be a big surprise.
But it showed up in the dollar. Like I was going to share my screen, but show the dollar is strengthening. Like they've printed up $1 trillion and it's going up.
Definitely, it's been strengthening. And
what does that do? Explain to everybody what that does. Like that's another headwind for what?
Strong dollar is basically good for people who invest in the U.S. Like if you're a foreigner and you invest in the U.S. and the dollar is strengthening, you're getting higher return. Obviously, it's harder for exporting for all the U.S. company who want to export because the goods become and services.
But if you're in the software business, it just doesn't matter.
Oh, software doesn't matter, yeah. But for all the multinationals,
emerging is getting hammered, isn't it? Emerging markets because of that.
Well, EEM is not really a pure emerging market. It's more like a Chinese exposure. It's been under distribution for a long time. But if you look at Brazil and the others, they've been weak too.
I mean, they were setting up so beautifully.
What was Latin America? IOF, I think. Let's take a bigger picture. Yeah, definitely pulling back. The emerging markets definitely feeling it. So yeah, and, I was going to say that because of the tapering conversation, anything interest rate sensitive was under pressure last week, at least in the first half. Like financials, obviously, they're the most interest rate sensitive. They kind of gave back that the
nice little pullback. I just don't think the dollar really, I can't see the dollar exploding. So
oh, definitely. I mean, so much printing and
yeah. I mean, where it's showing up is crypto. Obviously, it's just people are calling it Web 3.0, but it's just they're really tech stocks at this point. I was talking with JC about it. It's just people think they're currencies, they're not. People think they're a store of value, they're not. They're just speculative stocks at this point, and
yeah, there's definitely been a speculative frenzy in cryptos. And last time we had that, like in April, May. We saw a pullback in tech stocks, but this time around we're not seeing that. Mm-hmm. Actually, we saw a rotation into tech, and especially larger cap tech, which basically saved the market. Like especially software, like Adobe and new all-time highs, Microsoft new all-time highs.
Apple's getting close, right? Wow.
Yeah, so
these look big cap, Cisco even, I think, right?
Exactly. So we saw rotation into those names. So we didn't really see that sell-off that we saw.
If you look at the monthly, pull up a monthly on some of these, on Autodesk, on Cisco.
Yeah, they've been going sideways for a very long time. And
oh my goodness!
If you remember in May when
oh my goodness,
there was a big rally in cryptos. And at the time, there was the talk was inflation fears. So there was a rally in steel stocks and rally in crypto at the same time. And then all the software stocks had a, pretty significant pullback, not significant, but decent, this
20%,
which is the software ETF.
Uh-huh.
This time we're not seeing this. It's actually setting up for a potential breakout. So that's
let's take a look at Google. Like crypto wins. Google's the big winner on crypto. Anything that expands the internet and search, Google just hasn't pulled back at all. Like it didn't pull back in February, it went sideways, and it's really, so the question is, does this large cap were kind of like a safe haven. The question is, does this spill back over in the small caps, which have been struggling? Do people pull
small cap definitely relative weakness.
Not horrible. I mean, look at that, kind of put in a little bit of a thump.
Basically going sideways for the past 6-7 months. So as I said, they doubled since last year, March, so it might take some time to digest.
Uh-huh. Healthy though, coming off a crash.
I mean, it's still in a big range. If they lose, I think this level, if they lose 205, we might see some more scared selling.
Yeah.
Some liquidations. So last week, where else we saw Nvidia was super strong. Tried to break out. And it seems like every 2 or 3 days there is a headline. The UK government is trying to stop that merger deal with ARM. And they're kind of, I don't know if they do it on purpose so they can, buy more Nvidia cheaper. But the stock is setting up, is holding strong. It's like a indirect crypto play as well.
Yeah.
In a way, AMD is also is holding well. Pull back to its 20-day. So pay attention here if it starts rising again. Some of the newer software stocks are holding well, like Unity Software. Earnings breakout, pull back to its 20-day, and then it bounced. So that's positive price action. Not all of them are doing that well, like Snow, for example. Even though it held above the 50 days, so deep buyers are active here as well.
Yeah, I mean, these massively valued stocks just are marking time. Like they're not crashing.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, it seems like the market is all of a sudden it's not really worried about inflation. Like the second that the market realizes the Fed is worrying about inflation, then the market is not really worrying about inflation after that.
Yeah. They're talking it down well. I mean, it's a tough market for bears.
It's a tough market. It's been a tough market for
I'm long a bunch of DigitalOcean. Really interesting stock.
Yeah, definitely.
I got it from an early investment in a fund, and I'm just holding my stock here. I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, $5.7 billion company. It's acting constructively. Recent IPO. What else? The interesting thing last week that I noticed is that the department stores, which are supposedly reopening, they did well. I mean, look at this breakout in Macy's, also Nordstrom. I mean, nothing fancy, but considering how all the reopening stocks were getting hit, it's holding really well. Kohl's. So it seems like it's not really COVID is not really, the most important central theme in the market right now. There are other themes.
I just think people have money they're spending and the malls are quiet in my opinion, but the digital spend continues. I'm spending weird stuff like clothing and
it seems like anything shoe related had really strong quarter, record earnings. SKX.
Yeah. So where are we weak? So the energy is rolling over. Everything looks
small caps, emerging market, China. These are the weakest.
Yeah, K-Web.
China cannot even muster a bounce for now.
Yeah.
Where is Alibaba? Let's see. Let's take a moment.
Oh my goodness, Futu's below 100. That thing was the hot. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we're talking about pretty significant. 50-60% in some case. Chinese stocks are basically in their biggest bear markets in a while. So
yeah, and that's just played into the hands of the U.S. Like crypto. China tried to like curtail mining, and that didn't work. I think we are truly. I don't know. Do they have charts in MarketSmith yet? For the crypto stocks?
I think not yet. But
God, I can't believe they're that slow to the uptake. But if we go to TradingView and you just pull up some of these cryptos.
Yeah.
I mean, there's right now, if you don't, even in my 8-80, I've got Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? Like if you don't have exposure to the crypto, you really are missing the alpha.
So these are the kind of the biggest one in market cap. Bitcoin, Ethereum.
But Solana cracked the top 10 in market cap.
Yeah. So as you can see, I have no idea what most of them are doing. They just have.
Just consider them as Ethereum's basic, like the internet. Everybody's building on top of it. It's slow. The way I try and tell people, if we look at Visa and MasterCard, if you looked at Visa and MasterCard and got pitched in year 10. Hey, Visa is going to be this incredible, railroad for financial transactions. If you go back to the monthly and you were looking, and this forgetting 2000 in the 90s when Visa was really building up their network, you would have said, what the hell is Visa? I don't trust it. And that's where we are with kind of some of these blockchains. That's what their charts will look like over 20 years. The leading blockchains, because they are basically it's the internet, but for the movement of money. And so I don't know if it disrupts MasterCard and Visa, but at the same time, I think the weakness is in the ARK stocks is, not so much Tesla, but like Roku, Teladoc, they're selling off her stocks. They're coming for her stock.
Yeah, definitely. Roku had a big pullback, even though it's kind of setting up for.
I mean, Teladoc was like the COVID stock, and
it's done.
And they're in bear market.
So this one is interesting. Doximity, which is like a professional network for medical people. I think Dustin, if you remember him, he used to work for StockTwits. He is working for them.
Who is that? Who is?
Dustin.
Oh, great. He
actually moved, I don't know, a few years ago. So way before they went public. So I guess he's doing well.
Good. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of money out there. Young people have their money in software companies, their own net worth. So it's like this whole new rising era of engineers and their wealth and their $10 to $20 million coming out of it. Uber and Lyft will probably have an interesting week because the judge, even though they spent all this money on.
Yeah, their stock have been pulling back.
Yeah, now they've lost a big decision for now.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to watch them this week. I mean, they're in no man's land. You shouldn't own them right now, but unless you feel like, but they're going to have to raise prices because they're going to have to start treating everybody as employees. So it's not an easy market. It's choppy.
But the prices are already, at par, if not more expensive.
But look at Lyft. They're expecting to earn almost $1 in 2022. So we'll see how this ruling affects.
Like a few weeks ago when we flew back from Seattle, and it was like Saturday, I don't know, 11 o'clock at night. So obviously busy time. And when I tried to get a Uber from the airport, it was like $100. And from where I live, it's usually like, from the airport where I live, it's like less than 2 miles. So it's like $15 to $20 usually. So I just went.
Taking taxis. I was in Vegas, took taxis.
I took a cab, a regular cab. It was like $18. It was like, wow.
Yeah, we flipped taxis, even though they haven't upgraded.
Yeah.
And the thing that's happened with taxis is they have much better payment systems. At least they finally jerry-rigged their cars. You slide in a car, you slide in your credit card. So I got to be honest, I'm not loyal. Even though I was an Uber shareholder from way, way, way back, I'm not loyal. Time is money, and I don't want to wait around. And half these airports have chaos when you land, so the taxis are lined up, and you just step into a taxi like you used to an Uber. So again, like I think it's just basically Web 3.0, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple. Continue.
Yeah, you were right about Netflix last week. It started to perk up. I don't know for what reason, but obviously still in a big range, but it's starting to move.
Well, international. They own international. The content's been better on HBO and Hulu and other places, so they're going to have to up their content game. But yeah, I mean, if that goes, it could really go.
I mean, it might have been just a general move into large cap tech, since so many of them, I see Adobe and Autodesk and Microsoft and Cisco, they're moving. So maybe it's just a big pile of money that is moving to the whole group.
Mm-hmm.
Just another rotation that saved the market from a deeper pullback.
Well, again, I think what you're also seeing is people working from home. They're spending money on subscriptions. The creator economy continues to explode. Old people are shaking their heads going, why aren't people working? Why is the unemployment? People have 3 jobs, but they're more satisfied than having one miserable job and reporting to work in a tall building. So I think the time is what Americans have been getting back from all this, and some semblance of what is quality of life. And there's just this big digestion of this move off the crash, and I think if you can get through this fall, like back to school, we'll see. I mean, COVID's going to rage. The question is, does hospitalizations, and we're going to be living with it a while, do hospitalizations go up and do deaths start to rise? Obviously we'll check back in next week and see how my neighbors are doing. And they said they're fine. Been talking to them through the window.
Are you making them soup?
I offered, but again, like they can order in. So it's like, they don't have to leave their house for a couple of weeks. So, 10 years ago, it would have been a disaster, COVID, on the economy. This year, it's just changed the economy. Back to school is going to be key. Max is back at college. His roommate already has COVID. They're partying. It's hard to keep these kids contained after 2 years. So it's going to be an interesting fall. And I think watching the airlines, it really is a trend. If you go back to jets, it's just not fun traveling. I've done it now a few times, and they feel heavy. Like they really feel heavy. Maybe oil coming off will help them a little bit. And maybe this is just a pause that refreshes, but traveling is not fun.
So why do you think Warren Buffett sold all of his airlines here? Someone who is really...
he's wrong sometimes. And by the way, I sold my Chinese. It's like, he just relative strength. Apple has worked out well for him. Like his other positions have worked out well. I mean, there's no reason, even if you sell at the bottom, it's about positioning your portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know, obviously
everyone makes mistakes. You just, you know, even if you're wrong 50% of the time, you can still make a lot of money, you know, if your winners are big enough. So
yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I think, you know, I think it's still a pretty good market, and we're getting through a very seasonably tough time, August, September. And, you know, but with the banks being strong and interest rates still low, and not many choices for people's money, stocks are still continuing to rotate. And I tell you what, if people come back, there's just a lot of stuff that people could rotate back into China if they want. I know the argument is pretty easy to say, listen, China's a growing economy despite Z, and eventually people will start bottom fishing in Chinese stocks.
I think Charlie Bilal posted a really interesting chart comparing the price
to
sales ratio.
What is that? What is that K-Web look? Wow. The 60%.
This is the Chinese internet.
From a breakout.
But Charlie was comparing the price to sales ratio of Alibaba with Amazon. And after this big, 50% drop in Alibaba, it's having the same price to sales ratio as Amazon. So maybe the Chinese stocks were overvalued. Who knows? Yeah,
but trying to catch this knife on top of the politics of it all has been a disaster. So
yeah,
selling, panic first has always been my thing. I panicked I haven't panicked, but I just gave up on if we pull up Alibaba.
I think it's fascinating that one of the second biggest economy in the world, their market is getting 50% crash and it's not impacting.
No, but I gave up at around 200, and it was kind of like a panic, like get me into something else. Like, just, I don't want to tie up my money in these things. I never really believed in them because they're not even really securities. They're like a fake security, right? Like they're tied to
ADRs,
yeah. So anyways, all right, be careful out there, but at the same time, you've been healthy.
Yeah, I feel good.
Have you been doing F45 or no?
Yes.
All right. And have a great week. We'll check in next week, everybody.
Yes. All right.